Richard, I just keep thinking about this, your deep, profound knowledge of the region and of the organizations and of the players that have had an impact on this for so many years. What are you thinking right now if Sinwar is indeed dead?
Maybe it's a chance to de-escalate. We will see. Leaders do matter in organizations. Leaders mattered, as we've seen in Hezbollah with the death of Nasrallah. It dealt a serious blow to the organization. Sinwar's leadership matters in Gaza. Negotiators were not able to take decisions without him. Sinwar didn't use cell phones. Only communicated directly through a handful of personal contacts and attendants. It made communications with him extraordinarily slow, extraordinarily difficult. The Israelis had thought that they'd killed him several times before, or that he died, perhaps injured in another attack that they didn't even realize, because he would disappear for long periods. They believed that they saw him or saw evidence that he had been someplace when Israeli troops found the bodies of 6 hostages who'd been executed. That was in the Tel Sultan neighborhood in Rafah. It's an area that I've been to. I was taken there by the Israeli military. It is completely destroyed. There is not a single building standing. It looked like a ghost town. The only signs of life we saw there, except for the Israeli soldiers who were with us, were some stray animals that were climbing over the rubble. If he had managed to stay in that area, at that stage, he would have been with a very small group of people, indeed, likely trying to survive, because transport in and out of there was difficult. It was completely occupied by roving Israeli troops. So if, in fact, and there are some reports suggesting that he was, in fact, killed in that same neighborhood, it would suggest that he had limited ability to move, that his leadership role was coming to an end anyway, that the group was suffering a degree of division and fracture because of the ongoing assault. That is all of which is going to be much worse now if it's in fact confirmed that Sinwar is dead. It will be a blow to Hamas, a morale blow, a leadership blow, and obviously a big boost for Israel and for Prime Minister Netanyahu.
And so, Chris, if there is that big blow against Hamas, what possibilities, hope, can there be that Hamas can sit down on the negotiating table in Qatar or anywhere else and hammer out a ceasefire deal?
Well, I think the opportunity is open, but it really is dependent on who ascends to the leadership position. There are a few likely candidates, but one of them is Mohammed Sinwar, his brother, 13 years his junior, who is equally committed and arguably more violent in many ways. The concern about Yahya Sinwar was he really understood the value of holding hostages. And one of the reasons he wasn't ever likely going to turn them all back over, because the leverage that they provided, and they gave him the opportunity to maybe survive this war. His brother knows that just as well. His brother was the chief architect of taking Gilad Shalit back in 2006, which ultimately led to the release of Yahya Sinwar. So I think it all depends on who ascends to the throne of Hamas, who will then be also public enemy number one for Israel, and they'll start targeting that individual. But leadership does matter, as Richard talks about.
Yeah, and I was just thinking, Richard, the brother's there. We don't know who the other 2 people that were killed along with, if it is confirmed that it is Sinwar who was killed yesterday in this firefight, this battle that Aaron tells us was indeed very intense. What is the process for these organizations that are literally underground to come out and...
Literally underground is the surprising thing out of all of this. Most intelligence estimates that I had read or heard about suggested that one of the reasons that Sinwar was so difficult to reach, that he often dropped out of communications, is that he was hiding in tunnels and had gone to ground and was waiting for the war to escalate, that the war moving into Lebanon would draw forces away from Gaza, would split the the Israeli military to a northern and southern front, and that would give him and Hamas more freedom to move and operate. That was the thinking on intelligence reports that I'd read. But the fact that he apparently was killed wearing, in the pictures I've seen, again, not confirmed, we'll wait till we get the official confirmation, but the pictures circulating online that do look like him shows him wearing a military-style jacket in a gunfight in a building above ground with apparently 2 other militants by his side. That suggests someone who was not a mastermind hiding in a bunker, but someone who was in the fight, in the later stages of a fight, engaging directly in gun battles, someone who had transitioned from leader to soldier to someone potentially fighting for his life.
And Chris, with every action comes reaction. It is the natural course of things, unfortunately, in this case. What do you see as the reaction, Chris?
I think one of the things that I would be concerned about is some action against some of the hostages to get some retribution. There is concern that the 6 hostages that were found just a few weeks ago, that they were deliberately killed to send a message. Because they are currency for Hamas. So they could be used in such a manner now, and so that would be a concern. I think the other issue is, a broader regional conflict, as Richard talked about, this did not have the effect that Hamas hoped that, if Israel broadened the war and went to the north and had to address some of the issues with Iran and the other surrogates in Yemen and Iraq, that it would give them some freedom of movement and some latitude to do more in Gaza. That hasn't happened. So what does Hamas do to try to regain some control and some leverage? Will they look to carry out some other kind of attack if they have it within their capabilities? I do think we'll know within the next few hours if this is Yahya Sinwar. Israel has all of his biometrics from his previous detention. They likely have the biometrics of the other 2 individuals that would have been with him when he was killed. So I think we'll know pretty quickly. And then they are likely doing rapid DNA as well, which will give you positive identification for sure.